So we are going to get started. Today's agenda, we're going to talk about the Office of Developmental Disability Children's Services that are available. We're going to talk a little bit about values and the tools, some tools and resources that you guys can use. Like I said, there'll be time for some questions, and then we'll have our contact info there as well. So our goals and our learning objectives today. So you're going to understand the array of children's services available through ODDS. And you're going to understand how to refer to each one of these programs that we're going to talk about. You're going to become familiar with some of the various person-centered planning tools that can be helpful to you guys when you're talking to families. And then there's like a whole list of a whole bunch of resources that you guys can access. And the PowerPoint will be sent out to you guys after today with a survey, so you can get those resources there. So we're going to start with the values of ODDS. So our values, these values that we'll go through in a second, were created from the Vision Advisory Committee, which were stakeholders in the community that included people like service coordinators, providers, ODDS leadership, people with disabilities, etc. And during this committee, they created a strategic plan for 5 years. And out of that strategic plan came the values of ODDS. And we find that these values are very, very important. So some of those values that are important: self-determination and person-centered practices, which we'll talk a little more about some of those person-centered tools that you can use. Keeping children and families together if at all possible. Making sure that the children are safe and healthy and respected, and all individuals are actually, not just children. Having that community inclusion so that they are learning skills out in the community and living in the community just like everyone else. Having strong relationships with family, friends, their community, and then making sure that all the services are equitable and accessible to every individual. So the array of children's services that we have in all of these I'm going to briefly talk about right now, and then that we'll go into more detail in future. Excuse me. The first one is in-home support services. So in-home support services include things such as activities of daily living, relief care, case management services, all these services that are K-Plan and waiver services that can be provided in the home to the children. The next one is foster care, which is when a child is placed away from their guardian outside of their home and they're supported in that family home. Host homes, which we'll learn more about, is a new service, and they live in a single family dwelling. There's only 2 kids that can be in those homes. And it is underneath an agency that provides a whole bunch of the care. And then the last one is 24-hour residential, also called group homes, that happen in the local communities. They provide that 24-hour support, and they, the individuals, the staff are awake the whole entire time, supporting those 3 to 4 children that are in the homes. So K-Plan and waiver services I mentioned in the previous slide. These are the K-Plan and waiver services that children who qualify for DD services are eligible to receive. And these services are based on the needs of the individual and their goals that they have. So we already talked about some like attendant care, but there's other things such as professional behavior supports, employment things, which I know that there's 3 different presentations during the summer learning series that talks about some of those employment supports. So that could be job development, job coaching, benefits counseling, and then some specialized waivers that CIS individual Lisa will talk about. So we're going to quickly do a poll for you guys. Caitlin will put that up. The first one is, are you a cat person, dog person? Both or neither. The next one is how long you have worked in the field. The third question is, what children's services have you worked with in the past? And then rating your knowledge of how much you know about those children's services and the referral process for those. So we'll give that a minute. I like that, Caitlin, you added cat person meow, dog person woof. We have about half of the people that have participated so far. I'll tell you what I'm not a person of. I am not a squirrel person that keeps running on my roof. Somebody told me the other day that squirrels are just rats with fur coats on. Okay, is it?
I disagree. I like squirrels.
I'm with you, Julie. I like squirrels too. I love watching them. I know they bark at my dog.
Yeah, I'm watching them out my window right now, as a matter of fact.
I will
And
say
paying attention.
I loved squirrels until they were running around my above my roof, above my bed, like at 2 o'clock in the morning every night.
Oh.
Is the poll done, Caitlin? I can't see it anymore for some reason.
It is not, but I can end it. We have 83% participated.
Okay,
Is that okay?
sure. Let's see these results. So it looks like we have lots of dog people and lots of both people. Not very many neither, so that's good. I wonder what those neither people like. We have 42% of you guys have worked in the field for 1 to 5 years. Quite a few for more than 10 years. That's great. And then children's services, lots of in-home services, as to be expected, I'm sure, and host homes is the smallest percentage, which I would also expect. Quite a few for CIS and residential. And then, wow, the biggest number is emerging or average for rating your knowledge. So we hope that that knowledge will be increased by the end of this presentation. So, thank you. So we are going to start with children's intensive in-home services. Lisa?
Thanks, Lisa Catherwood. That was a great introduction and setting the stage. So it sounds like most folks who are here today have worked primarily with in-home services, and that makes a lot of sense because that is our largest service setting. Most of kids in Oregon in DD services are being served in their family home. I'm going to talk a little bit about children's intensive in-home services, which is just one step up from children who are being served in-home in their family homes, and just give you a little bit of an overview of CIS. So Children's Intensive In-Home Services is a statewide program. It's a state-operated program that provides case management to children who live in their family homes and have intensive behavioral and medical support needs. For the most part, those children will have both a services coordinator at the local county and receive services there, and then we'll also have a services coordinator at the CIS program, and so we'll have 2 levels of support. So I'll talk a little bit about what that process looks like and what those roles look like. I would also just direct folks' attention to the website that is linked here and that you can have access to later. A lot of the information I'm going to share today is available online. We know you're gonna, this is a quick session, so we want to make sure you can reference it later. And that's also where information is available about the referral process, so something you can go and check out. So let me see. First of all, the intent or the mission or vision of CIS is to really support children who have intensive support needs to live successfully in their communities, in their family home, and avoid out-of-home placement. So that's really the goal of CIS, is to be able to provide that intensive level of support so that children can be successful at home. And if it is identified that a child and family could benefit from that level of support, then we'll have the local services coordinator work with the family and the ISP team to complete a referral to CIS. We do have a limited number of spots available in the CIS program. These are waiver funded programs with a certain number of spots per waiver. So there sometimes is a little bit of a wait. But once a child is in our program, they would have both the support from the local county and the support from the CIS services coordinator. Really, the CIS services coordinator takes lead and is responsible for all of the case management work, for assessments, for plans, that kind of thing. And then the local services coordinator at the county, we would want to partner with you all for your knowledge about local resources, for example, for your, sometimes you have great relationships with the local school district, can attend IEP meetings, that kind of thing. So it really is a partnership. In general, that's what that looks like. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the exceptions or special situations in just a bit, but that's generally what that looks like for children in home up to age 18. We do have the 3 programs in CIS. So we have an intensive behavior program. Those are generally kids who have intensive behaviors such as aggression, self-injury, property destruction, that sort of thing. Often children who have a diagnosis of autism, for example. We have 2 medical programs. The medically involved program, that program supports children who have generally physical and mobility support needs, and often will have other support needs around things like seizures, feeding protocols, G-tube, that sort of support need. And then the medically fragile program is our highest level of care. Those children, it's really a hospital level of care, and those children rely on medical technology. So they have like a trach, they'll rely on a ventilator, and they really need nursing support, direct nursing, private duty nursing, we call it in the medically fragile program. So that's our highest level of care need. And it's also our smallest program. And it's the program where we don't have a wait. Children can be entered into the medically fragile program right away if they meet that really high level of support need. I think I may have seen our first question pop up, so I'm gonna hold that.
Would you like me to read it to you, Lisa?
Or
do you want to wait?
Sure. Well, we have kind of a question and answer session built into each section, so I thought maybe we could hold them until then if that works for everyone. But I'm glad to know people are asking questions because that's great. I think I'm almost done with my kind of general overview. I wanted to just tell you about a couple of the caveats. So one thing to know is that we generally serve children up to age 18, and then those folks at adulthood would be referred to the county program or a brokerage program, or sometimes to the APD program. We also sometimes serve mostly in-home children, but the caveats to that are that we can support people who are in foster care. In that situation, CIS's role is just to authorize the nursing supports specifically and not to do case management. So if there's a person in foster care who needs the private duty nursing, what we call direct nursing services for children, CIS would be involved just to authorize and monitor and oversee those nursing supports for children in foster care. And in those situations, we can actually support those folks up until age 21. And then another kind of unique piece that I wanted to call out was around the medical programs. Not all of the kids in our program are actually eligible for intellectual and developmental disability services. We do also support children who don't have an intellectual or developmental disability, who only have a medical condition, and aren't eligible locally at the CDDP. So that's just helpful sometimes for service coordinators to know in case there's a child locally who isn't eligible at the county, they may be an appropriate referral for the CIS medical program. So wanted to make you all aware. And I'm gonna turn this over to Bilal Gamblin, who is the manager of the intake team at CIS, amongst other roles. And Bilal is gonna talk a little bit about the referral process. And then I think after that, Bilal and I can both answer questions together.
Thank you, Lisa. So just going into a little bit more about some of the details of the referral process. As Lisa was saying, so we have 3 different waivers, our behavior waiver, medically involved waiver, and our medically fragile waiver. And so there's a referral form for each of those, and you can find the links to those on our CIIS website, and it has some information about that. So those are linked there if you need them. I think it depends on whether or not the child is DD eligible. So for all of the clients who are DD eligible and they're coming from a county or a CDDP, generally the county service coordinator will be the person who submits that referral form to us. And, you know, in that case, our referral coordinators, we have 1 referral coordinator for each of our programs. They would work with the county services coordinator. It's important that we know who the county services coordinator is so that we can gather some documentation, some intake documentation, things like the ISP, the risk identification tool, the PCI, if they have a behavior support plan or a functional behavior assessment, the child and home support needs assessment, the CNA, all those are really important for us to be able to help determine eligibility. And any like historical evaluations related to their DD eligibility are really helpful as well, and school records. And then the referral coordinator will be reaching out to the family and completing that criteria assessment. We have 1 criteria assessment for each waiver that helps determine whether or not they are eligible for CIIS, and it'll determine a score. And we'll reach out to the county services coordinator if needed. Sometimes we might need to update contact information or help with coordinating like any meetings or follow-ups. So it is important for us to know who that county SC is so we can coordinate if needed. And then if they are eligible, we may also be reaching out to help with like waiver coding and express, you know, some of those details. You know, if they are in the MFCU program or they were referred, or you may think that someone might need to be referred to the medically fragile program, it's really good if they just call us first. That way, you know, they can talk to us just to make sure that it's like an appropriate referral and that, you know, it would be a good thing for them, I guess. So I think that's pretty much everything. We also work with APD, with the Central Coordination Unit, to help determine Medicaid eligibility. And so we may reach out for help with that sometimes to make sure they have the correct Medicaid to be able to enroll in our program. So that's pretty much a quick snapshot of the referral process.
Thanks, Blau. That was great. So let's go to a couple of the questions then. I see that there's a question from Sharon that says, if a client is in CIS, then does a services coordinator make case management contact with the family, or is this provided by the service coordinator with CIS? That's a great question, Sharon, and a common one. When children are enrolled in CIS, then CIS is the lead case management entity and responsible for all of those regular monitoring contacts. We actually have an expectation of contact with the family at least once a month, and our services coordinators have generally a lower caseload so that they can support that kind of intensive case management. So that's something that is a responsibility taken on by CIS. Now, your local county may have also some additional guidance for you about how they want you to be involved with CIS cases. So that might be something also to check with your supervisor about. But in general, the required case management contacts are something that CIS is covering. Okay. So we have another question if we're ready to move on. This is a question from Nicholas. Says, I sent a referral and a follow-up email with support documents necessary for eligibility determination. I haven't heard back in quite some time. Who should I contact now? That's a good question as well, Nicholas. I would refer you to our CIS referral email box. And I don't know if we can go back a slide to show that. If not, you can also find it on the CIS website. There we go. So it's cis.referrals@dhsoha.state.or.us. And then Nicholas says, that's the one that you have been using. So you can reach out there to just ask a question about what the status of the referral is. And if for some reason you're running into any, issues, then just go ahead and reach out to Bilal and I. We can also send our contact information at the end of this presentation. And our email addresses are online on the directory on Staff Tools as well. So you should be able to get in touch with someone here.
The contacts will be at the end of this PowerPoint too that will go out after this presentation.
Oh, great. Thanks, Lisa. All right. We'll talk soon, Nicholas.
Okay, the next section is in-home support services. Lisa.
Oh, this is me again. So I am also going to talk with you a little bit about kind of an overview of in-home support services and the paid supports that we can offer, and also the tools and resources and kind of philosophy of in-home supports in Oregon. I will say I am filling in as presenter for this section, so maybe just bear with me a little bit as we go through this, but it's all great information, and it's something that's really close to my heart as far as making sure that children and families really have a comprehensive support system in the community. That's something that's just a value that's kind of woven into our supports and services in Oregon, just as a state, really. So I think this is something that, we kind of all share those values. And so we'll just go through this together. So general overview for in-home support services. We do have around 9,000 children, probably close to 10,000 children who are receiving in-home supports in Oregon. So that's great. That's the vast majority of children in Oregon who are receiving DD services are receiving those services in their family homes. And they have access to a pretty robust array of support services. Our Oregon Health Plan and K-Plan and Medicaid waiver services offer just a real variety of supports. So I would direct you all to look at the expenditure guideline again for that list of K-Plan and waiver supports that are available. Just a couple examples here are things like case management. I actually never want to discount the importance of case management itself as a service. I think that your role as a services coordinator is just super important for families. You really provide a lot of support and resources to families in navigating our systems, especially early on when we know early intervention is really important and helpful. So I guess I just want to thank you for all of the good work that you do in case management, especially over what has been a pretty tough year, 18 months or so, maybe longer at this point. The work that you all do as services coordinators really is invaluable. So I just want to maybe just take a minute to say out loud, thank you for that. Okay, other types of services that we can offer are things like home modifications, environmental safety modifications, behavior supports, nursing delegation supports, attendant care, assistance, purchasing items, assistive devices, those kinds of things. So really just an array of supports we can offer. Those are paid supports. We also want to make sure that families are connected to community resources that are supported through ODDS. The FACT Family Network is a great one. If you haven't heard of FACT, if that's new to you, definitely go check out the FACT website. It's a great resource for families. FACT offers all sorts of things, peer support, information, webinars, a lot that would probably be really timely right now around going back to school resources for a remote world, just special education supports in general. In fact, is really good about providing those supports in a variety of languages, which is important to support all the families from different backgrounds that we serve in Oregon. So definitely would point folks there. And then we have listed here family supports versus K-plan supports. I guess one thing we haven't really called out yet so far is the family support program. Family supports is a small pool of money that's general fund money that can be available for families in home when the child is not eligible for Medicaid for whatever reason, if they haven't been connected with Medicaid yet, or there's some other barrier around Medicaid, then family support funds can be available for those families to help target some supports for kids who are not yet Medicaid eligible. So I think I will go on to the next slide here, and this is where we will be showing a video. This is, I think, less than 3 minutes long, if I'm remembering correctly. So I'll just put myself on mute and we will play this for you. This is going to talk about the differences between when we center a person, the unique person, and who they are and what they want and need, versus when we're putting our system first, which we know is what we don't want to do. Okay, so let's watch the video.
From the origin of person-centered planning, we were trying to understand and see what it looks like when we just fit people into systems and defined their needs and saw them through the eyes of what a system needs for a person to be in order to generate the funding that's required and to basically service them. And system-centered work tends to be based on a medical model, which assumes something's wrong with people, and it's the system's job to fix them. And so the system is invested in defining them in terms of their deficiencies and creating a treatment plan, and then working to help people get it right before they get to be members and be whole people in the real world. So person-centered planning offers a major contrast to that, which is to say that people don't belong to systems. They belong to themselves, they belong to their families and their communities. And if we see them in a different light by the capacities that they bring, and we understand that their communities are the place where they can contribute and be citizens, then our thinking shifts dramatically from how to fit people into systems and service them there to how do we support people to live good lives in community, and then how do we take what we need from systems and services so that services are not bad, they just tend to be wired for their own purposes, for their own self-interest. So a good person-centered planning process calls into question the way we use services and invites us to really change the way most of our services are configured to be more responsive to the people and the way that they want to live in the communities that they're in.
Contact us for more information.
Thanks, Lisa Catherwood. That's a great video. I think it just helps shift our focus a little bit. We know that the services, paid services that we provide are important, can make a real difference, but it's also just really important to remember the values of our system and what's at the heart of all of this, which is people. And so I think that's a great reminder. And we put a link here to a website with additional person-centered practices tools. And I'm also going to just go through quickly to show you a couple of tools that are person-centered thinking resources that you could use yourself with families, that you could give to families to use with in their own lives. You could use this at an ISP meeting. You could use this with an employment team. You could use it with a school. These are, pretty flexible tools that are useful in a variety of settings. And it's something to just kind of put in your toolkit and be able to have available for families when things are stuck or when you want to kind of get more into that visioning mode versus, just relying on those paid supports. So here's an example of a communication chart. This is a tool that I think is primarily used when we want to get at a good understanding of what the person is communicating. And sometimes people don't communicate verbally, we know, so we want to make sure we're capturing what that person is wanting and needing and communicating, and really taking time to focus on that. So this is kind of a chart that you would use and go through as a team, and just make sure that you're really taking a good look at communication and the prompts here are things like, what am I communicating to you at this time? When this happens, what does that mean? What do we think it means? And what do we need to do?
Can I give an example, Lisa?
Yeah, absolutely. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So Carrie, who is the family, what's her title? She does
Child
the
and
in-home
family
support.
support coordinator.
Thank you. Family support coordinator. She has a child who has a disability that doesn't speak very often. And so they use this chart a lot. They have it on their refrigerator. They'll put like when the time is, and her daughter, when she gets super anxious, she'll start like wringing her hands. And so when you see her wringing her hands, that's what they would write when this happens. So wringing the hands, we think that it means, and they think that it means that she's anxious. And then they give examples of things that can help her not be so anxious at that point. And this can be used for siblings to write things down when they notice. It can be used for, PSWs or DSPs that are coming in when they notice different things as well. So it's, up on their fridge, they can write the different things, and so that everybody knows what the individual is trying to communicate when they can't use their words.
Yeah, that's a great example, Lisa. Thank you for that. And I think that also I would want to point folks towards some of the other sessions that are offered in the summer learning series that are focused on more of the person-centered planning and case management and life course specifically. Actually, Caitlin is presenting a session along with Beth Kessler, I believe. So those should be really good sessions, and you should be able to get more information there as well. So let's go on to the next tool. Take a look at that. So this is an example of a relationship circle. And I wasn't really planning to dive into how each tool is used, rather than just to show you that there are a variety of different options available, and they are again flexible and can be used to meet different needs. But I don't know if there are other folks on the team today who did want to give more examples. It looks like maybe Lisa, am I seeing that you're wanting to jump in?
I just, one of our core values that we talked about in the previous slides was the fact that, building relationships, whether that's in the community or their, network of relationships that they have. So this is really a good tool for them to use. If we have time in the end, we will hear from someone that talks about how really the only disability is loneliness. And so this is a way to talk about what those connections and meaningful relationships are in their lives. So that's it.
Thanks, Lisa. This one, and then I think the next slide also, or that there's one more tool I think that we're going to show, which is around,
Sorry.
no, that's okay. If you want to go to the next slide too, that's around the STAR. Yeah, I think that these tools are also really helpful to get a sense of balance, to make sure that you're looking at supports in all different areas of life, because again, we do want people to have well-rounded, inclusive, whole supports. So this kind of looks at different areas of your life, and you could, see what kinds of supports you already have in place. For example, you may have a lot of paid supports like Social Security, Medicaid, but you may not have a lot of community supports in place yet. And so kind of putting this down in writing, I think gives a good visual, to help people decide where do they maybe need to put more energy or balance things out. What are the areas that are strengths, that kind of thing. So these are all tools I think that are helpful. A lot of people have found useful. And then if you don't mind going back to that life course slide, Lisa, just wanted to introduce the concept of life course. So this is kind of a philosophy and a variety of tools that has been put together to help guide communication and planning in families and teams and in the community. So I think that most folks have probably gotten somewhat of an introduction to life course from ODDS, maybe from OTAC, has done trainings in the community. I know we've had sessions about life course at previous SCPA conferences in the past, but just wanted to call this out as another place where folks can get tools and resources. And we do have a link to the website posted here as well. So other folks on the children's team today, is there anything else you would want to add about in-home supports and about these resources and tools?
I think we wanted to mention too, just, you know, I know you guys do this, but doing the choice counseling before and making sure that they're provided with all the different resources, especially prior to them deciding whether they want to do out-of-home placements, which we'll be talking about soon. So
yeah, that's great. We want to make sure we're really providing people with all of the supports possible in home before we get to the step of out-of-home services.
Well, I just want to, if people haven't seen, Caitlin put the link to the life course framework training that she's going to do with Beth on September 9th for easy access. So thank you, Caitlin, for training.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Okay, questions?
remember, you can raise your hand and we can call on you, or you can type them in the chat. If you have any questions about in-home supports or the person-centered stuff.
All righty, we can probably
Not
move on
seeing
to the
any.
next.
Yep, we're gonna move on to foster care services now.
Hi, everyone. So when I was looking at the poll earlier, I noticed that just 12% of you have worked with foster care, which was not surprising to me, because when you look at the ODDS Children's Services System as a whole, we really have a small number of kids in foster care. Right now, it's about 460 kids statewide. And that includes kids that are 18 to 21 who are in the foster home on a variance. So again, this kind of goes back to that ODDS really strives to serve children in their family homes. Children are typically referred for foster care placements when their support needs can no longer be met in their family home. And it's through choice advising that the child's parent or the legal guardian requests foster care as the chosen service setting. Our foster care settings are family home settings, and they're certified either by ODDS or child welfare. And some people don't realize that we actually accept child welfare certification to meet our certification requirements. The foster parents live in the foster home as their primary residence, and they provide 24-hour support and supervision. If there are additional supports needed, such as nursing or behavior consultation, those can be provided by a qualified professional as long as those supports are authorized in the individual support plan. Even though a child is in a foster care home, those foster parents support that child's relationship with the child's family to help maintain those family connections, because the goal really is for that child to return home. The only exception to that is when the child is in the legal custody of child welfare, and connection or involvement with their family is prohibited by a court order. And just to give you a sense of how many kids we serve through the child welfare system, about 60% of our kids in foster care right now have child welfare as their legal guardian. One of the unique things about ODDS foster care is that we provide two different types of service payment, not service payments, but payments. So there's a monthly service payment, and that's based on the SNAP rate. And there's also a monthly room and board payment, which is the current SSI equivalent. So what happens is when a child is referred for foster care, once that child is placed, ODDS becomes the representative payee for those SSI benefits. Once we start receiving those benefits, then we issue a room and board check to the provider and the current SSI equivalent. And part of that room and board is the child's monthly personal spending. So right now, the current room and board equivalent is $794. which means the foster provider is going to get $617 for their room and board. And then that child receives $177 a month, and that's for the child's personal spending. In terms of the referral process for foster care, once a family or guardian requests foster care services through Choice Advising, you as a services coordinator will complete the child referral to placement services form. And it's really important that you work with the parent or guardian to complete that form, because that's going to collect crucial information that's really going to help with placement matching. Once you complete that referral form, you are going to either provide that to your designated referral contact or your certifier, which may be one and the same. It really varies from county to county. So if you're not sure where that form goes, consult with your supervisor. And that is pretty much foster care in a nutshell. Do any of you have any questions? Nobody?
There is one. Is there a shortage of foster homes?
You know, that's a really good question. And there's not a yes or no answer. So the foster homes that we have right now, we do have vacancies. They're not all at full capacity, but the challenge is we are seeing more and more children that have significant behavior support needs. And so we might not have a foster family that is willing to accept that child. It could be because they just feel they are not skilled, or a lot of our foster parents have their own children. So it might be that maybe the child that is being placed is not a good fit in terms of the other children in the home. So one of the things that Zoe Piliafis will be talking about in a little bit is foster care recruitment and training and retention. So we are working to hopefully recruit more skilled foster providers that are available and willing to serve those children with higher behavioral needs. Great question.
The next question is, if a child's eligible for DD services in child welfare foster home, can ODDS fund that placement?
Yes, we can. So whether a foster home is certified by ODDS or child welfare, what allows that provider to receive payment from ODDS is the Medicaid provider enrollment application and agreement. So if there's a child welfare certified home and there's a child in that home that's eligible for DD services, if ODDS is to fund those services, that provider will just complete that Medicaid provider enrollment agreement. Once that's approved, they'll get a Medicaid provider ID and they can start billing for services, and they're eligible to receive the room and board payment and the service payment from DD. Any other questions in the chat?
Not seeing any more.
Okay. There are some resources at the end of this presentation. One of them I highly suggest that you review is the CFC placement actions document. I think that's the title of it. It might be close, but it actually outlines all of the required documentation that's needed, what's needed if a child foster care a child welfare foster home wants to become a DD service provider. So there's a lot of information there and I encourage you to review it. And you can always contact me directly if you have questions.
Thank you. And our next part is about foster care pre-service training.
Hey, everybody. It's Zoe Piliafis, the person that didn't like cat or dog and enjoyed dinosaurs. So, you know, what Julie had mentioned, that 12% of you work with foster care. And that was surprising to me because I'm a foster care provider and the service coordinators that I've had the opportunity to work with, I have felt so taken care of and acknowledged and like I was their full-time job. So truly to know that you all are doing so much different types of work and having to hold so much different spaces within our system is a lot. So I appreciate you all. So what I'm going to talk about is foster care pre-service training. So my job was developed a year ago, maybe a little bit more. I think it was thought of many years ago, but I came into this role about a year ago. And there are 3 objectives within my job, and that is recruitment, training, and retention of foster providers. before we get started, I wanted to ask you all to go to the chat, and I want you to tell me the first word, good or bad, the first word that comes to your head when you think of the word training, or you need to attend the training. Learning, boring, education, boring, knowledge, either amazing or a complete waste of my time. I imagine there might be a swear word in there if we were allowed. Listening, requirements, time consuming, yay, learning, sitting, 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 sitting. Is there a fee? Skills. Yeah. As a former educator, maybe I'm now an educator still, I was like, this presenter better be good and give me a chance to give my expertise and to facilitate and talk instead of being talked at. And when I think of the role of foster provider, oh, this year's killed me, you guys. This year with my lovely children and the skills that I needed to maintain, not just outside of COVID. So when I think about the opportunity to build a robust, meaningful foster training, I'm thrilled to do so. So currently we're focusing on a pre-service training. The first 5 months was spent with a group of folks determining what that training would be. It's trauma informed, it's culturally responsive, is the training core of our philosophy. Adult learning theory. So I hope that all those boring words get removed when foster providers experience our training. And really this is about experience and interaction. So the training is built on multimedia, video, story-based, stories from our actual providers, stories from our children, trying to get to that grassroots of why we do our work. So Lisa, why don't we show an example podcast? I have the opportunity to work with the fabulous clown Lisa. And so we have a podcast series that is part of the pre-work for our foster providers. Each podcast is about 20 minutes, and why this might be relevant to your work. The podcast themes can run the gamut, anywhere from post-traumatic stress to trauma-informed care to things that are more logistic and focused within foster care. So the ways and places that this might support someone in learning. Lisa, do you want to share a little bit about the podcast, and then we can play maybe 30 seconds of it?
We're going to play 1 minute and 16 seconds of it. Yes.
It better be good.
And yeah, so the podcast, I came up with the title, Dare to Share Podcast. It's a podcast about young adults with disabilities in foster care. And the music that is our theme music was developed by an individual, a youth that I worked with that had disabilities. He's an amazing artist. And so he came up with our theme music. So I'm showing it from my other screen. Can you tell me if you guys cannot hear it? So I might have to switch it to the other screen.
We can hear it.
Hello, future and current foster providers. I am Lisa Catherwood.
And I am Zoe Pliafis.
We are your hosts for the Dare to Share podcast, a podcast about young adults with disabilities in foster care.
Today, we're going to explore the common myths and misconceptions about our youth and the process and requirements to become eligible for our services.
If you are new to this journey of foster care, your local certifier is your entry point to becoming a foster provider. And if you've been a foster provider, you are more than likely have a pretty established relationship with your certifier.
Let me introduce Nancy Milligan Mock from Washington County. Nancy's been a certifier for about 8 years, but she's been in the field for over 30 years. Welcome, Nancy.
Thanks for having us.
And we also have Lisa Harding here. She is with Multnomah County and has been a certifier since 2009. And before that, she was with DD Services as a coordinator for 5 years. Welcome, Lisa Harding.
Oh, it's great to be here.
We have a lot of experience in this room, and I imagine you both have had many interesting experiences along the way in the course of your career.
Okay, that's just a snippet of the podcast.
We didn't even get to hear what they had to say.
I know. Well, you'll have to listen to the whole podcast to hear what they're going to say.
The goal of the podcast and the continued goal is to bring in nurses, PhDs, doctors, our foster youth, our foster providers, and the expertise that's sitting in this room. So you notice we had 2 certifiers, one from Washington County and the other one from Multnomah County. And so we're leaning into that expertise and knowing that adults are super busy. And one of the best ways to capture their attention is to allow them to do other things. So our training, I hope, is dynamic, and we're continuing to build that out. The projection of when that will be done, God, should I say this out loud? Spring 2021. You can move from this slide, Lisa. 22?
22.
Oh, Lord. Oh my
Because
gosh.
otherwise we're late.
Yeah. Also retention. So something I'm really excited about. I've been a foster provider for 7 years, and it's been a journey, a challenge, a lot of beautiful points, a lot of pain points with the system. And now I'm in the system in a different way. And part of retention, I believe, is truly taking a deep listen into our foster providers' experience. So what we've established and began working on this last spring, 2021, was a foster care advisory committee. And that is made up of approximately 12 providers. And we have a range of geography, different counties, different experiences, some providers that did not make it into the system. I'm sorry, they were not providers, people that wanted to be, some providers that have a couple years experiences, and others that have been doing this for 20 years, as well as an array of children that they work with. And I'm very excited to meet with them for the first time this September, to really sit with them and collaborate on policies, practices, procedures, and how this might impact family and youth. One of my hopes is, and I can't dictate this group, I just get to be a member of it, is that we begin a mentorship program for our foster providers. So more to come there. And then lastly, recruitment. And I said recruitment at the top, but I think really to recruit, we have to build a stronger foundation. But in terms of recruitment, as Julie had just said, we're looking for competent, qualified providers that can work with high behavioral acuity youth. And part of that is making sure that we build skill. And that is training and listening to our providers' experiences. And also to move to retaining, we need respite providers. So my focus over the next number of years will be to recruit those 2 different avenues. That is all from me. Are there any questions?
I'll give it a second, just in case people are typing. And the other 2 questions that were up above, we'll answer those at the end for foster care that came in. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. They come in. If you guys have questions, type them in. We'll answer them at the end. Okay, thank you, Zoe. Our next section is host home services. So host home services is a brand new service. We currently have 3 agencies that are endorsed to provide this service. We have 3 kids that are placed, and the 4th will be going in next week, which is super exciting. So host homes, I say it's like a hybrid in between foster care and 24-hour res. So the individuals are staying in a community-based home, but they get the agency to help provide some of those wraparound supports. So the agency is providing supports like positive behavior support, crisis relief, training, providing DSPs up to 20 hours a week. And the in-residence caregivers are the individuals that are taking care of them, the children 24/7. They arrange for different supports like making appointments, medical appointments, mental health appointments, enrolling them in school, making sure that they help stay connected to their biological family or guardian. Host homes are based on matching and the best fit, and we try to keep them in their same community if they, since they already have those community connections. That doesn't necessarily always work, but that is our goal. And the ultimate goal of host homes is for them to go back to their home with skills that they have gained, or to be in a less restrictive environment. So a less restrictive environment would be foster care. In the host homes, the in-residence caregivers are paid monthly from the agency, and that's based on the ONA score. And then they also receive the room and board, just like Julie was talking about for foster care. So I see there's questions. I'll answer them in a second. So how you refer. So you as service coordinators will complete the form after choice advising has happened. You'll complete the child referral for placement services form, which is linked at the bottom in the resources. You'll give it to your DRC and they will send it to the host home's email box. The DRC and I meet during the DRC call weekly and talk about those individuals and what homes might be good placements for them. And then if there is a good placement, then we will send a referral notice to send it to the agency so that they can do a screening. The agency will then do a screening, whether that's paper, virtual, or in person, depending on what's going on with COVID and whatnot right now. And they will send you a notice of whether they are accepting or denying. And if they are accepting, then the case management is done through the CDDP. So the CDDPs and the agency will work together to do that placement and the ongoing support. Okay. Any questions? Do I have a list of host homes? Yes, I do. But it goes, well, okay, so the host home agencies is RISE are the only ones that have functioning homes currently. And we have 3 other homes. And I have the locations and some of the services. So I talk through with the DRCs when they send referrals in about if any of those homes would be potential good fits. And then we send the stuff to the agency for them to look through that as well. Our service coordinator is responsible for monitoring children's foster homes and that's foster home. Any other host home questions? Okay, so the question is, if a child is referred to a host home, had a screening meeting and was not chosen, do they remain on a list? So just recently, actually, I met with RISE and I'm meeting with the other agencies to talk about them. If they didn't select them because there's not a current good fit with the homes, then they are going to start having like a deferred list for 6 months. But if they did not select them because the services were too high for them to feel like they can support that individual, then they would not be on the deferred list. Any other questions?
There's
What
one
host
more
home
question.
agency? Yeah. What host home agency can do if they are unable to hire a DSP to assist the foster provider? What can the host home agency do? Well, there is a hiring problem right now with DSPs, so they are working their hardest to try to find a good, whoa, sorry if you heard that big old sneeze from my dog. Unable to hire the DSPs, they're working really hard to try to find someone that can work with them. So it's just really hard with staffing right now.
Lisa, did you see the question about where those homes located? Are they all over the state?
So currently we have one in Deschutes County, which has a child in it currently. We have most of the other ones are like Washington County, several in Albany, a couple in Salem, some in Eugene, some in Polk County. They are trying to spread out to, they put in a recruitment thing down in like Roseburg area, but no homes are open up there yet, down there yet. And then I've asked them when they can and staffing starts getting better to potentially expand out to Eastern Oregon. They do want to go to places where they already have homes and they have DSPs. So that those would be the locations that RISE in particular would be spreading out to. The other 2 agencies will be Portland Metro currently. And once they get going in that area, then they will start looking about expanding out to Columbia, Clatsop County as well.
There's a question in the chat for foster care and host homes.
Okay.
And the question is, if a family is concerned that Child Protective Services will remove their child from their care, could they voluntarily set their child up in a foster home or a host home before that happens?
So I can answer that for foster care. So all of our services are voluntary. So if a parent is concerned that there might be an investigation, regardless, if the child is determined eligible for our services, that parent can choose a foster care setting for the DD service setting through choice advising. The distinction between, when child welfare takes custody in a CPS investigation, it doesn't matter. The child can already be placed in the foster home voluntarily by the parent, but once child welfare takes custody, that child will remain in that foster placement as long as the legal guardian child welfare wants that to happen. But we just don't go by the voluntary placement anymore. The voluntary placement agreement, we use that court order that establishes child welfare as the legal guardian. So I don't know if that answers your question, but just to kind of go back, as long as a parent has legal custody, that parent can choose to place that child in a foster care setting if the child is eligible for services. But once those parental rights are terminated and child welfare takes custody, then child welfare has the choice of whether or not to keep that child in foster care or move that child to a different foster care setting.
The same would be true for host homes. It's also voluntary, just like Julie was saying. I think Paula has a hand raised.
Yeah, so when you make a referral to a host home, it's the same form that we use for referring to residential, correct?
Yes. Yes, it is, which is linked in the bottom of this PowerPoint. Did you have more of a question because you went back on hold or on mute? So.
Sorry about that. I think that originally I was under the understanding that the CDDP would be doing the ISP and the monitoring and all of that for host homes. So what I'm hearing is that changed.
No. So once the child is placed, the case management is done through the CDDP. You are correct.
Okay.
And
thanks.
the CDDP, SCs, all of them are going to the referral or the screening meetings when the agency sets those up.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, now we're going to move on to 24-hour res. Lynn, you're on mute.
That's the third thing I said. I learned a couple things, and now there's three things. Unmute. So one is I have been through this presentation. My Wi-Fi has been unstable, so if I freeze, I apologize for that. And then the other thing I've learned is that you don't want to be the last of a presentation when all of the coworkers before you are so stellar and amazing in their presentation. It just really sets a high standard for what I have to talk about. So I'm going to learn next time. We'll go from the highest level of care to the lowest next time. Okay, guys? But I'll do my best. So I'm here to talk about the Children's Residential Unit. And we have a pretty small focus. Really our focus is to develop new programs, new group homes across the state, provide the oversight for those homes, and then assume the case management services and supports for the children that are placed in our programs. Of course, we always want the local county service coordinator to stay within the team, and we welcome and encourage that because hopefully they're going to return back to their local county and their family. We currently have a capacity of 176. I will say during the pandemic, this has ebbed and flowed amazingly in the last 2 years, but that's what it's at as of today. We have 176. That capacity consists of 161 community-based programs. Those are managed by certified providers. And most of those programs, as Lisa said earlier, have 3 to 4 children in each of the group homes, and they all have 24/7 awake staff. Most of these programs support children with very complex behavioral support needs, but in the last year, we have also been able to develop 4 group homes that support children with medical needs requiring nursing delegation plans and behavioral challenges. And that's been a really nice development for us. We also have a capacity of 15 state operated homes. You probably have heard of those as SACU or SACU. And the difference between those homes and the ones with certified providers other than being state operated is they are short-term crisis stabilization programs. So the goal for them is to get children stabilized and returned to a lower level of care. Whereas the provider homes are longer term, but they also have the goal to return the child to their family first and foremost. And if that is just not going to be successful, then a lower level of care. Both of these providers, both the state operated and the provider programs are HCBS settings. The locations of the homes, most of them are located in the Washington, Multnomah, and Marion County areas. Although we do have some group homes in other counties. We've got one in Coos, one in Deschutes, 2 in Lane, 1 in Union, and 3 in Jackson County. And of course, our goal, or my goal, when I took this position almost 4 years ago, was to increase our capacity. My goal was 200. We haven't met it, but we still are constantly working on that. We really want to get children, if they need residential, into a placement that is closer to their family. So that's my personal goal, ODDS's goal, and all of my staff. And so I am continually working on development. We have been able to, even in these really hard times with the staff shortages, been able to develop a few programs, but certainly we still aren't meeting the need. So whenever I get a chance, I ask people, if you know anybody that's a foster parent or serving adults in our system, if they show any inkling of wanting to develop a children's group home, please give them my name and have them call me. So that was my little plug during this presentation. So the next slide. And if I'm talking too fast, I'm sorry, just put it in the chat and say, Lynn, slow down, because I'm a fast talker. All right, so how do you actually get a child referred to children's residential, because it is a different animal than any other, and then who do you refer to? So that's what I'm going to try to explain in this, that whole referral process and how you get a child into a residential program. So of course, first you're going to, through choice advising, you're going to determine with the family that the child does need, this is the best option for the child. They would need to be in a residential placement. And so the first step would be to complete what I call the 0508R. And that's the form number. So you get used to memorizing that form number. And that's the Children's Referral for Placement Services form. And I'm just going to call it the referral form moving forward, because that is a large amount of words to say, and it doesn't have a good acronym. So I'm just going to say referral form. This form is also required for foster care, host homes, and residential referral, which I think we already heard Paula ask that question. And the link, as Lisa said, is below. So you need to complete that, and you also need to complete the whole referral packet. What is needed in the referral packet is on the last page of the referral form. And so often I get asked is like, well, I don't have a psychosexual. Well, if you don't have a psychosexual and it's not pertinent to that child, yeah, you don't need that. Only the list on the document forms that need to be submitted that are pertinent and for that specific child. One of the things that I ask when you're working and completing the referral form or gathering supporting documents is to work with the family. We want the referral packet to be accurate and contain all of the necessary information. But I think what is also important to remember is, the family has just made a really hard decision to place their child out of their home. And most likely all of the kids that I see coming to me, the families are in crisis. They've had to just go through a really hard decision, to place their child out. And then we say, complete this form and get me these documents so I can get it in. And I don't know if you all do that, but this is just kind of my little soapbox talk is, work with the family, help them get it gathered together as much as you possibly can. I know service coordinators are busy, but do your best to help them. That's not only going to help them, but it's also going to make the document, the referral packet, more accurate and it's not going to delay the referral process by being incomplete. And so if you can, please work with them on getting that done. It is pretty overwhelming. We did a couple of years ago try to streamline it, and we continue to try to streamline what we need. But just anyway, that's my thing. So part of the referral packet is also completing the ROIs. And so you will sit down with the family and go over, here are the, programs that we have to offer, here's where they're located. You're going to want to make sure you find out, a parent may not want to, that lives in Multnomah County may not want their child as far as Lane County. So making sure what is the distance from their family that they're willing to make referrals. This is the part where you pull in your DRC. The DRC is very knowledgeable about they should be very knowledgeable about the provider options that we have. And so that's one way to explain to them. The other thing is I would offer the families, if they're not quite sure, to look up on the websites. Most of these agencies have websites, so they can look on it to learn more about each of these agencies and the services and supports that they offer. So anyway, so once you've got the whole referral packet completed, that is going to be submitted to your DRC for review. They will look at that for completeness, and then they will send that to the ODDS referral email box. Once we get that, I have a staff that looks at it for completeness. And so we'll make sure we have all of the documents necessary. So again, sending in completed referral packets will save some time and not delay the process. The other thing that we just had to start doing, which I think we started doing this back in January of this year, is now children have to be on the one application system for Medicaid eligibility. So we are checking that too. And so if a child is not Medicaid eligible, we're going to need that application done before we can actually start the referral process. So that's something else that you can do, is to check that and get that application done prior to sending the referral, or as soon as you hear that the child wants, the family wants residential, to help not delay the process. So then weekly, I don't know if any of you have heard, but I do have a weekly meeting that's scheduled with all of the DRCs. We meet, we go over all of the children that are referred to residential. Right now, our wait list is about 67 kids, which is the highest it's ever been. We look at their support needs and options that we have for them to be referred to. That does change week to week as programs get openings or they get more staff so they can fill a vacancy. So that is changing kind of on a week to week basis. So we staff that. I also asked for an update on the status of the child and the family. So I've got that information. That information is really important, especially if you're trying to access a SACU bed, because that is a most urgent need at time of opening. So whoever needs it the most, who's having the most crisis, is the one that's going to get that stabilization bed first. So having that update really helps if you're trying to access an SACU bed especially. Whereas the provider group homes, they have a wait list and they choose by the best match of the children in the home and also their expertise. Who can they support? You know, what is not beyond them that the child will benefit from that placement. I often hear people say, well, where's my child? Where's my child on the list? And it isn't a list from 1 to 10 and you move up it. It really is more of a matching and who needs it most bed. So after that, what happens is we send out what we call a referral notice. That goes to the DRC, the provider, and the res specialist assigned to the program. And once that is sent out, you have 7 days to send the referral to the provider. Then I think everybody probably knows the rest, so I'll run real quick through it because I don't know how I'm doing on time. But basically they review it, they determine, you know, if they're going to screen the child or they're not. And, you know, if they do, they call you and they set up that screening. And if they don't, then they decline. And the same process goes through after the screening. Either you're going to get that email that everybody's hoping for is, yay, they're accepted. And we're going to start working on an intake, or we're going to hear that, oh no, now we're back to scratch, back to 1, where we're going to refer again. So that's it. I do oftentimes I hear, you know, well, when will we hear from the providers? Unfortunately, there's nothing in rule that states that they have specific timelines to get back to us, and that it definitely has extended their time frame in the current climate with the pandemic. All right,
we have one question. Is there an estimated wait time for kids res SACU placement? How long can it take to get placement?
Is there an estimated wait time for res and SACU placement? How long can it take to get a placement? So remember the two ways that we select. So for SACU, I can have a list. I can have a child that I think is, if I get a bed in, 3 weeks, I'm going to put that child in that bed. They really need it. And something can change for that child. They may get into a mental health home, or something might happen. Or I may have another child that's, running in the street on a daily basis, trying to commit suicide, needing 6-point restraints. And so it just, that changes. I cannot give you an estimate. There is no estimate for SACU. It really is who is in the most crisis and safety situation that needs to get into that stabilization bed. So I can't give you on that. As far as for the programs, I could have given you pre-pandemic, it was about a 6-month wait. I have kids now, I just really hate to say this, is they've been waiting for over a year. But then I'll have a child that, 3 months and they're in because it's just a good match. I will say our providers are looking right now due to the staff shortage. They're really looking at, if a child needs, 2 or 3 people to do a PPI hold, they just don't have the staff to do that. I have a lot of homes that are vacation right now, and I've lost some capacity. So yeah, it's get supports in the home as best you can and as many as you can, because I'm afraid it's going to be a long wait for residential. That's not a very nice way to end this. Just
Well, we have more questions, so don't worry.
I'm not laughing at the situation. I do that when I...
Hey, I just wanted to jump in and say that I think that we can have this presentation maybe go about 5 or 10 minutes late. I know we had some questions. So just wanted to let folks know that. I have to jump off at 2:30 for another meeting, but just wanted to say thank you to everyone who attended. It's so nice to be able to chat. I hope you got to get to know our children's services team a little bit, and you can reach out to us if you need any follow-up after the meeting. But just wanted to say that before I jump off. Lisa, are you going to be reading out the rest of the questions? Great, then I will turn it over to you. Thanks.
Okay, so
I see one.
We'll get there in a second. We're just doing the poll right now to see if you feel like your knowledge is better after our presentation today. It looks like right now it's going towards there's a lot more average and proficient than there was in the beginning. So that is good.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna let it go for like 15 more seconds.
15 more seconds. Okay. So we have 47% feel like they have average understanding of the referral process and the services. So that is great. And next, thank you. You can stop sharing that. Thank you. The next, our next slide is all of the resources that we have talked about plus some. So for instance, I didn't mention that a host home brochure was just created for families. So you guys can utilize that to explain what host homes are to families. The ODDS Children's Services website has a lot of information. Here's the referral form that is used for foster care, host homes, and res, as well as a whole bunch of other great resources for you guys. We also have our contact information, so you guys can contact any of us if you have questions after this, you don't get them answered. And then questions. So Kaylin, I don't know if you want, can you go up to those 2 questions that weren't answered before?
Let's see. Are service coordinators responsible for monitoring children's foster homes in the same way that they are for adult foster homes?
Yes, they are, just as they would for host homes, adult foster homes. It's the same monitoring requirements.
And I believe that's the only unanswered question that I can find.
So Caitlin, there is one, if you don't mind, I want to address from Sharon White. The question is, should child welfare notify county IDD service coordinators they have entered an IDD client into one of their homes? So that's a really good question. And hopefully that does not happen, although we have seen it happen on a very rare occasion when child welfare is in a crisis and they're looking to place a child. But anytime a child in the custody of child welfare is going to be entering a foster home placement, that really needs to be coordinated with the services coordinator. So there needs to be collaboration between the child welfare caseworker and the CDDP services coordinator. And that child still has to go through the eligibility determination process with the CDDP. So at that point, you know, there's that connection with the CDDP, and then that child would be assigned a services coordinator, and then the services coordinator would work with that child welfare caseworker to talk about options through choice advising. And, you know, if child welfare, the legal guardian, chooses a foster care placement, that's when there would be a conversation about, you know, do we want to place in a child welfare certified home? Hopefully that answers your question.
There's another question about the slides and the recording that I can address. The slides will be emailed to all of you in just a few minutes after we close out this session, along with a short survey on just to get your feedback about today's session. And then the recordings will all be posted on ODDS website at the conclusion of this entire summer learning series. So after September 30th, there will be a dedicated web page that includes the materials and the recordings for each of the sessions. It takes a little bit of time to process those and make sure that everything is sorted out and the captions are accessible. So that is what we plan to do.
Okay. If there are no other questions, we want to thank you guys for coming to this. And feel free to contact us if you do think of questions afterwards. And then we will end with this video that I had discussed about loneliness is the only disability.
The core of my work, the foundation of my work, is that we are relational beings. Our brains are hardwired to belong. In fact, neuroscientists say that 80% of what our brain is up to at any given point in time is thinking about social relationships. And the problem for people who experience disabilities is that they're lonely. As Beth Mount has said, loneliness is the only real disability. But everywhere I travel, I meet people, wonderful people, who might be having a difficult time with their behavior, but the thing I learn about them over and over again, many of these people, is that they're very lonely. A psychiatrist, his name is Willard Galen, said years ago, to be vulnerable is not to be in jeopardy, but to be vulnerable and isolated is the matrix of disaster. When those two things intersect, loneliness, your vulnerability and loneliness, you're really at great risk. And from my point of view, the work is to help people find meaningful and enduring relationships. There's nothing else we could do that would be more important than that.
Thanks again for coming to our session and all the great work that you guys do, especially during these crazy times of COVID. So,
thanks everyone.
Yes, thanks for joining. Thank you.